Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Intentional Spirit. I say every week that good intentions are wonderful, but the follow through is where it's at. And we like to feature individuals, advocates, people with passion there that are intentional spirits that spend their lives dedicated to being difference makers. And I'm so thrilled today that we have Joan Ranquet with us. She has dedicated so much of her life to stand up and speak for and help other people understand how to communicate with animals. Thank you so much, Joan, for being on my show today. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the work you're doing to focus and spotlight that. That's amazing.
Well, I'm always fascinated. I don't know if you are too. I almost could get a little facetious, but I won't. When people say, I don't know what my purpose is, I mean, you don't have to go far. I mean,
Right?
it's all around you. There's a lost dog on next door. There's a cat missing. There's a child, and I mean it's all around us of something to respond to now. In looking at some of your background and watching some of the shows, I see that originally, I mean, I want to know all about you and your passion and your work, and we'll send everyone to your website. But I think you said you started out working with horses.
I started out working with horses just because I had a horse and I was having challenges, and yeah, horses are where it all began.
Mm.
And sometimes I think I could just spend the rest of my life with horses. It's kind of and I do. I mean, I live with them, but I could just dedicate my whole life to them.
And how long ago was that you became involved with them?
It was like 30 plus years ago. It
Okay.
was 1,050,000 years ago.
Yes. And it just created this path for then you to further pursue getting to know animals better, and there was so much more meaning. I mean, I will add, to me it is, I do donate to organizations to avoid the slaughter of horses.
Yeah,
It's hard to believe in 2026 that we can't find better alternatives, we can't use common sense, that we really feel that that is necessary. They are, to me, aside from dinosaurs, which are no longer here, they're our most ancient relationship, right?
it's
In
true. Yeah.
humankind. I mean, and as far as friendship, as far as we counted on them back in the day, I mean,
We
I'm
couldn't
sure,
have built civilization without them.
no. And this is the thank you we're giving them to put them in a tin can. It just, it's just baffling to me. But that being said, I'm sure that what you do and the work you do, I mean, are we making a dent? I know I'm being philosophical. Are we making a dent? I'm hoping we are, but sometimes I wonder.
I think we are. I think the challenge is we have so much that we're kind of up against. That there's what I consider to be the genocide in the shelters,
Mhm.
the sending the horses off to slaughter. I mean, all of these things are really big things that I feel like there's a big disconnect. And in order to really, the pet business industry is a like something like $165 million or more than that, maybe a billion
I think
dollars
in
that are
billions, yes.
spent on animals, and yet we have this, we can euthanize dogs and cats who, don't have a home, and slaughter horses because they don't have a home. And so and maybe because of one mistake, right? Like if three counts and you're out, I would have been euthanized at like three, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh,
it's,
listen. Oh, yeah. Hello.
yeah,
I mean, if you saw me at 60 something for one of seven times going to a doctor, I'm tense. If I was being studied or tested or
yeah,
checked out, they would say you aren't suitable to live in any home because I'm just, it's not a comfort. I smell the smells. I do this, I do that. And I just don't understand. I mean, I am an eternal optimist, and I'm confident you are too, because here 30, 40 years, we are still here. We're still showing up. Our passion is rising. We will not stop. We will not quit. But oh my goodness, it's like we know so much, and yet the dichotomy is we know hardly anything. I mean,
yeah,
if you take any animal that's been displaced from its family, from its home, from whatever, and now you're going to test it to see how it's behaving. Are you kidding me? What do you think you're going to get?
yeah, it's a joke.
Hmm.
So this is where we've got a real, yeah. So in that way, I don't know that we're making a dent. I mean, we're working on it, but on another level, animals are family members. A lot of people see animals as family members, and that's certainly better than even 20 years ago.
Yes.
And so those sorts of things are what keep me going,
Yeah.
what keep me. And I too am an eternal optimist, and so it fuels or feeds the optimist in me.
Yes. On one level, as a soul, on this incarnation, I know they always say, oh, we all have a choice. I don't know that I do. I mean, I can just be, whatever I'm doing, and I can hear about a need or something happening, and it just consumes me because I feel they are relying on us
I
to have
agree.
common sense. And I've always believed and practiced with and worked with animal communicators for at least 20, maybe 25 years. The work that you do, I find so exciting. I mean, I've used an animal communicator like, does my pet want help? When it's the end of life, a natural end of life is what I'm
Right.
talking about. Does my pet want help? And sometimes it was a yes, and sometimes it was a no, I don't want help. And I had a little Yorkie one time that he had gotten really thin and he already had lived his whole life. I mean, he was just a little dog that didn't put on much weight. But the fact that he said, no, I can do it, Mom, I can do it. And to watch his spirit like step out of his body, that is one of the most memorable experiences, sad and painful. But
Yeah.
I'm so glad I got that. And I find feathers, I'm shamanic, and feathers fall on me or walking or, whatever. And I told him, I said, I really want to know that you're in a good place. You know the sign, send it to me. And so, like 2 weeks later, there were four of us. We were walking on the beach, and I didn't say anything to them or tell them anything. But I looked, and it's not uncommon to find a bird feather, for goodness sakes, on the beach, but I picked up at least 150 in just
Wow.
in just a small distance, right? And I took them to one of my talks and I talked about how spirit is always talking to us. And I told them the story of Digby and I threw the feathers up in the air and I made them fall all over me. I mean, their gifts never stop with us. They just keep on
No.
going.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Well, so what are some of your recent projects, or, I want to get to know what is important to you, or are there projects that you would like our our listeners to get involved in? I mean,
Well, so I have a school for animal communication, and that's always going. And so if you're so, if your listeners are people that want to help animals, we have lots of ways for that. But one of the big projects that I've been working on has been what I call the shelter project, and that is taking my students and using the animal communication and EFT, emotional freedom technique
mhm,
tapping
yeah.
on that we do on the animals into the shelter and watching the animals get adopted. And that it's purely magical to see, animals that they don't know where to place them, how to, and this is a very savvy shelter, but part of their savviness is bringing us in and having us communicate with the animals and and treating and valuing the information that we're getting as important as the veterinary documents and the other, their adoption papers. So
Mhm.
it becomes very important that they, that this work is valued so that we can find the forever homes for these animals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, there's, I have so many questions and thoughts running through me at one time. One is I request all shelters to stop promoting that they are no kill when they really are.
I know.
And and unless you are a person that knows how to ask the questions or you're looking for convenient measures or whatever, and you just want a quick answer, you're shucks out of luck. Because until you keep asking them, you're telling me you're a no kill. Oh, yes, we're a no kill. Oh, so you're saying, and you can tell they just get aggravated with you. Like, who do you think you are? Well, I'm representing all the animals of the world. That's who I is.
Right?
And I want to know. And I understand if it's an act of pain and suffering, I understand that. But I'm talking basically, are you telling me you never kill? Well, of course not. Of course we do. So it's like false advertising. We don't need that. We don't need that. Now, I saw on my algorithm, and I don't know, is it AI generated? Not sure. Now we don't know. But it was shelters that was having like a visit day. Have you seen that? And they're all potential animal lovers
Sitting in
are in a
yeah,
circle and then the dog picks them, which I believe that spiritually. I've always believed that your pet picks you and they aren't picking you because they need you as much as you need them. It's certainly a reciprocal thing. However, is that true? Are there some shelters that are doing that, or is that
I don't know. I've had the same question. Is it AI or
because if it is true, it makes so much sense
yeah.
that the animal needs to be the one picking because of the way they resonate with
Well,
the
and
person.
that's really, so the purpose, part of the purpose behind bringing in the animal communication, right? Because then the animal is essentially like, this was my experience and it didn't go well for these reasons, therefore I need this,
Hmm.
and so in many ways that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
So that's, we're creating that perfect right person to show up.
you're the catalyst for that.
Yeah.
Yes, and the other thing I was curious about, since this is something that you live in, all the time. I have read that there's at least two countries now that they have made it illegal, or they actually, I don't want to say punish, there's a better word for it, I'm sure. Um, they charge people when they give their dog away because they're moving or they're going through a divorce, or
Oh my God.
have you read
No,
any
but
of
I would
it?
love to know that. That should
Okay.
be,
I will, um, your email is probably on your website, right?
yeah,
I will do a little bit of process. There's an Instagram feed that is kind of like this is the news you never hear.
yeah,
No, and that no one talks about because everybody's too busy thinking algorithm is the way our world really is, depending on what you've been feeding, that thing. But
yeah.
it's good news about discoveries with medicine, discoveries with animals. And I think it's Spain was one of them. But before I state something that isn't true, I will, I'll research that. And
That would be amazing. I
when
mean,
I find that,
that's,
I'll send that.
yeah,
I'll send that over to you. Um, I've had people call me because they know I save things. I use them in my messaging. It's just to me, we're just human beings and we're sharing with all of them. It's not like, oh, they're doing us a favor, any animal of any kind. But
right.
that being said, there's just so much energy that you have and love that you have for these animals. But I've had people get a new dog or a new cat and they call and they're complaining and I'm not really the most kind and compassionate person because I go and they're talking about taking it to a shelter, and it's like, why didn't you just get a ceramic pet or a battery operated one? Would you give your children away if they had an accident on the floor? Or, I mean, it's so ridiculous.
I'm right there with you.
Okay, well, whenever you start marching my way, will you let me know and I'll put on my boots?
Yeah. I had someone say to me, oh, I have a cat for you. I said, oh, you do? And this was a person giving me a pedicure. And I said, and she, went to her regularly. And she said, yeah, my cat is starting to pee out of the box. And I said, oh, so you want to give me your cat that is peeing out of the box? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, I'm not a rescue. I have family members. And now you're telling me you're going to give your family member away. And then I said, and so then if I don't take this cat and the cat ends up in the shelter, then the cat will probably shut down. Someone might come adopt that cat, but that cat will likely die of kidney disease within the next 2 years. So now this family will have been wrecked that they didn't get more than 2 years with this cat, not to mention the cat will die heartbroken.
Yeah,
And that woman kept her cat and still has her cat because she was like, oh, I said, yeah. If you can't afford me for an animal communication session, I have a million students that need case studies. I will find you someone where you can get a free consultation, figure out why the cat is peeing, and we'll take care of it from there. And so she did, and then she got case studies with the EFT tapping and solved the challenge with the cat.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And You know, I love, well, the way you framed that was brilliant. I mean, that was so awesome because you put her into the story instead of just being a numb, detached, well, this doesn't have anything to do with me other than I don't want to be inconvenienced, not to even
Yeah.
ask questions or anything else. You just hope that woman when she's 95 and she's peeing on the side of the commode, nobody checks her in,
Mm.
but it is fascinating that the words that, we're gonna, no, well, we're moving across country and it doesn't feel right for us to take our dog. And, we're going to take it and they're probably going to put it to sleep. And I go, you mean murder?
Yeah, that's good.
Sleep means you're going to wake up after a rest. What you're talking about is murder. And I love the vets, and I would love. Here's what I would like to vision with you and hold is that every veterinarian office and every shelter, one of the requirements for at least one staff member is they're an animal communicator.
That's what I want. That's what I'm trying to train people for,
Okay, well, I'm going
so
to
that we
hold that
have,
with you.
yeah, because this work we're doing in that shelter is phenomenal. And it's in Michigan, and I live in California, so, I can't get there that often, but we have a class for that kind of work. We call it the Animal Ambassador. And so the person that teaches that, one of my right hand people, we do get to help the shelters weekly, but
Mhm.
it should be daily.
Yes, absolutely. With every intake, probably. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be the ultimate goal. Um, what are, two or three of the thoughts that come to you to share about things that have happened since you've been working with the animals there?
We've had just incredible stories of one dog was going to be humanely euthanized because he was just completely shut down, and he had been a bait dog in the ring. It had been part of a um, the
Dog
the
fighting.
dog fighting. I just can't. Anyway, he had been in that whole world, and he was taken in a big crime investigation, and so it didn't seem like he really had a will to live. And my we communicated with him, and even though we can think that the person that originally had him that was doing the fighting is a terrible person, but to that dog, that man was everything. So that dog had known love before, even if it was somebody we would find questionable. But that love was enough of a spark that the dog talked about wanting to have love again. And he got adopted by a family where they adopted another dog named Goober. And so he and Goober moved into a home together at the same time. And Caleb, the dog that we're talking about, was then obsessed with the baby. And when the baby would cry and the people didn't notice, Caleb would sound an alarm and get the baby help. So going back to your purpose, right? Like even the dog has purpose. So of course we all have
Absolutely.
purpose. So
Yes.
that was 2 years ago, and so 3 years ago. So we have stories like that are amazing. In fact, um, I have one of the cats from Michigan that I just adopted, sitting right here in a crate with, so that she can get to know all my animals, and then she's got a bigger room she'll go into. But I wanted her to feel what it feels like to be in just in here in general when I'm doing podcasts, when I'm teaching classes, um, so that she can get to know each of the characters that we live with. I have one dog who is Lab Sharpei, and I went and sat next to the kitty right before I was coming on here. And that dog decided to sit on me, was like doing some Tai Chi thing. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's so
Yeah,
sweet. And
it was really cute.
but you
But
just, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you just tuned into, because you and I just agreed before we started talking, we're not following a script. We didn't have a pre-talk of what we're going to talk about. We're just letting our hearts be guided to what we feel is the most important for listeners that have a love for animals. But you make a valuable point, and this is just simple math that I don't know with all the knowledge why people don't know this. But when you integrate a new animal into your home, you do not just let it come in and take free reign over your house. What are you thinking? It grows into bigger spaces, or it grows into a room, or it grows into a room if it's a dog with a fence so they can see each other.
Yeah,
And people, I don't understand, like, read a book or listen to a podcast that
yeah,
any new animal, we had a little tiny kitten, and we got one of those things. I had seen it on social. It looks like a backpack, but it has holes in it and it's clear, right? And so we put the little kitten in there and we toted her around everywhere we went
so
through the
cute.
house. But the dogs got used to the smells. She got used to them. So by the time we let her out, there was no issue. But people will call and they're all frantic. Oh my goodness, they're not getting along. It's like, you're not doing it. You're the
Yeah,
problem, not the animal.
right. They're just being them. And
Yeah,
the cat, they have a right to fight or flight. They have a right to feeling nervous because they're in a new place. Like these are all the things. Like this is a long-term thing. This is
yeah,
not going to be, could take weeks, could take months, could take however long it's going to take.
yes. Yes, we have a cat that we have a first level and a second level. And we had moved here from California to New Orleans, and it's a different setting with the heat, so the are not open. Her life changed. And so it's like, how can she be more comfortable? And sometimes we go, gosh, I wish she would spend more time on the lower level with us and the dogs. But our animal communicator talked to her and she's told us, quit being concerned about me. I am so happy upstairs.
Right?
And
That's
I don't
awesome.
want help and I don't want anything. I really like the way things are. It's like, okay, we can put that aside now.
Right.
I can't imagine, I really can't imagine having animals and not having an animal communicator, one or two or three,
Yeah.
because when we're so emotionally attached, or we're not emotionally attached at all, in many a person's case, we need that support and that guidance.
Yeah, to be like the connective tissue.
Hmm. Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, you've had many books and your school. Talk about the process with your school. Uh, is it people from any country all over the world take online?
Yeah.
Explain all that to us.
Yes to all of it. So
Okay.
actually I'm going to Istan. I take people on wildlife trips also, but so on my way to Africa for my wildlife trip in September, I'm stopping in August in Istanbul to teach animal communication and EFT, which will be very fun. But and this is a gal that has been part of my online community for years, and now she's talked everybody into having me come over. But so I do a big live event in person
Hmm.
a couple times a year, and then I do little online sort of, I call them immersives. So the intensives are in person, the immersives are like virtual retreats for a day and a half. And then if people are very serious or just curious, they can go through, twice a year I run 10-week courses. So for example, we're at the end of the semester, so we have 2 more weeks left of classes. Then we'll have a break and it'll all start up again in October. October and April is when we have the semesters start.
Okay.
And then, so there's some people I've never met, and and they're, like they're in Australia, New Zealand, Turkey, although I've met her now, Spain, a lot of people in the UK, somebody from Germany, and then a lot of people all over the US. And so it's very fun. And then when we get to have the live in-person events, everybody's been on Zoom for months together. So it becomes even richer and more meaningful, and lifelong friendships are created, and we go out to dinners, and I usually have a potluck or two, and it's really it's a magical animal loving community. And most people that want to do this kind of work or just want to help animals in general, especially if they maybe wanted to be a vet, but that like myself, my science wasn't my strong point. Ironically, now I'm curious. I'm way more curious, but vet school wasn't an option. And back then, the only thing you could do was basically be a trainer or a veterinarian. And so animal communication and the energy healing modalities that we teach offer animal lovers a real place to, put their focus. And, it's like that career that wasn't in the college curriculum when we were young. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, your school sounds wonderful, your certification. Is there a process for qualifying, or there's an application process online, or how do people find out about it?
basically they come to some sort of like I had my book Animal Chakra Healing come out, so I was all over. I didn't get to New Orleans.
Next
Although,
time,
yeah, that could happen.
look me up. Yes.
I will. But so I met a lot of people on the road in the last 6 months, um, and then people, yeah, so people find me either on YouTube, or I have a big Facebook group. There's all sorts of ways that they find their way to me. And then coming to some of the smaller things is how you get into the 2-year program.
Gotcha. I love
So,
that because it's more organic.
yeah,
It's what would be the words that we would use? There's a destiny. It's not, you're at the right place at the right time. In other words,
yeah.
it's supposed to happen because of the way it's come about. I like that very much. And it makes perfect sense with the type of person and the spirit of the person that would be doing the work.
Yeah, and that's another thing, is the type of person doesn't realize until they get into it how valuable this community is.
Mhm.
Because, they're probably the weirdo in their world. So, they have an opportunity to be normal. And that's why it's just such a celebration when we come together in person.
Absolutely. I've always just kind of gotten used to being the weirdo. It's almost like a real compliment, right?
Absolutely, it's a badge.
It is. It's a real badge. But I just keep thinking and hoping with all the new movies that keep coming out, with the different things that are happening, that people are like was it a dentist that killed the lion for no freaking reason? I do not understand
And I've
that.
spent time with that lion's offspring. I've been with his grandson who looks just like him, and I was with the guides that knew that lion very well. I'll never understand why that happened. And the guides are heartbroken. And they said he was such a good-looking guy, that lion, Cecil,
Yeah.
that he would actually sit by the Jeep and be like, "What angle do you want?" Uh, And his grandson is just like that. I've compared pictures and they look so much alike.
Well, that created such a stir immensely that I was really hoping it would last, that some of the airlines refused to fly back merc
Animals, yeah,
animals and you know of that nature. I don't know how I just can't wrap my head around that at all.
I can't either.
At all. I mean, if I were on an island and there was, well, I'm a vegan, so
Me too.
I would eat a tree or a leaf. But if I weren't a vegan, and if I were on an island and there was only an animal there, I mean, I would just die because I just could never take a life.
Yeah,
Because to me, the life of that animal is just as valuable as my life.
I
And
agree.
I've always felt that it's an equality thing. There's a different way of communicating. But the other thing that I've always said, and don't ask me how I know because I probably don't, but intuitively, I have always felt all animals, they're so much smarter than we are.
I think they're
Any of them.
different, smarter. You know what I mean? Like I think
Hmm.
that we all, I think that they are more emotionally smart. There's a lot of ways that they are way smarter, but I think it's a real opportunity to level ourselves up
Yeah.
because if I think part of the problem that we have this genocide in the shelter, we have the factory farmings, we have all these things, is we do try to put animals to some degree on a pedestal, and then we they can't, you know what I mean? Like there's just
Hmm.
a giant discrepancy, and then those, it's like how do you eat a cow? How do you kill a cow? Like how do we have so many
Mm-mm.
cows being killed? So, and yet we, you know, want to live with dogs. So I have cows across the street that are just the craziest characters you've ever met. So
Hmm.
and one of my dear friends is the founder of the Gentle Barn. So, that's the world I live in.
And you hear, and people will justify, well, and well, we've always eaten cows. And I went, well, in my experience, because my grandfather owned a dairy back in the day, yeah, you would hear about a cow, that they took the cow, but there wasn't much language around it, but you got the point of what they were going to do. But it wasn't like 30 at a time up a conveyor belt. It wasn't
No,
the hundreds, it wasn't the big warehouses, it wasn't chickens hanging on a conveyor belt on their foot. I mean, it literally makes me sick.
me
I
too.
just I just want to march with my boots, but I don't know where to go. But I just can't believe that there's so many turn the cheek like their lives don't matter at all. I could not ever conceive of eating anything like that in my mouth, you know.
No.
Mm-mm, no way. No, no way. And anyway, it's so I'll keep holding, like you said, that in many ways we're making progress, in some ways perhaps we're not, but I do find people are waking up more.
Yeah, I do too. And I think that more and more, I mean, like the meatless Mondays, whatever those things are that people need to dip a toe into, those sorts of things make a difference. Um and we have, we just have to stay optimistic and keep our boots on and march where we can.
Yep. And I assure you I will remain optimistic, and I will also express sometimes that I am angry and
Yeah,
I'm disappointed in humanity because when we know better, we ought to do better, you know?
Well, and I think anger is a great source of fuel. I think
Mhm.
it's important to be angry.
I do too. I don't know how you couldn't be.
Yeah,
I mean, I've literally, well, when I was in spiritual community, I had a lot more upfront, um, you know, communication and connection with people that I didn't choose them on the choosing level, maybe on the unconscious level, you know what I'm saying? People from
yeah.
all walks of life, but in my life of choosing people, if I really hear of anything different than the type of tribe we're in, it doesn't mean I wish them harm or anything, but they're not my people.
They're not my people. Yeah.
No, they're not my people. And I just want to just continue to educate and make known in call words what they are. And it's not a fillet, it's a fish. It's not a leg, it's a cow. You know,
It's not production.
yeah, it's not production, it's murder, it's mass murder. Exactly. And I find, I'm sure you do too, it kind of shocks people.
Oh yeah, I always say that dairy is actually a feminist issue because oops, somebody's having a dream. Because if you didn't you have to keep someone pregnant to against their will in order to have dairy.
Hmm.
So I always say that you know, that's not the modern woman. That's
Right.
not what the heck is that?
That's
So,
right. That's right. And who ever bought into the idea that milk is good for your bones
oh
or
my God.
dairy? I've been allergic to dairy the majority of my life. I mean, it's not good for you at all. Dairy,
No.
wheat are terrible for you as
Yeah.
a human being. But yeah, it's fascinating. Well, it's so nice to resonate with you today
Yeah,
and
definitely.
your passion and your energy. And I am going to research the Instagram, the good news to see, because with your international travels, maybe we could find out if it's really for real or not.
I would love that because we need to model it here.
Yeah. Oh, we need to model a lot of things here.
I know. I know. We'll just add it to the
We'll
list.
add it. We'll add it to the list. Well,
Yeah.
is there anything, that you want to passionately share or call forth or ask of others or
I mean, I think just, I'm sure that the people that are listening to you are completely on the same wavelength, but getting the people around you to recognize that our animals are our family members and the wildlife are our cousins, and
Mhm.
you know, we want to do better at the big dinner party.
At the big dinner party and shamanically, which means holy people that believe in infinity, that every creature that you encounter has a message for us. It brings medicine to us.
I just when I took my dogs out to go potty a moment ago, right before I came on, and I have to tell you, I saw the most glorious giant bug, and I was like, "You are the most beautiful bug I've ever seen." And it's like, how
Yeah,
can we not?
honor that.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you and to be continued.
to be continued.
To
Yes,
be
please have me back.
continued. Oh, yes, anytime. And I mean, this is the kind of conversation we could talk about at least once a month,
Yeah.
But Joan, what a pleasure. And you want to tell people where to find you and how to get in touch?
Yeah, my website is joanranquet.com, JoanRanquet.com. And you can get on the newsletter list and find out about all the fun things. And I usually have some great stories once a week that I send out. And I also have a Facebook group called Learn to Communicate with Animals with Joan, and we do lots of fun free things in there.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I also want to say you have a number of television appearances and media appearances on your website. So if you're going, wow, I've been touched as I've been listening today. I want to know more. How do I find out? There's so many resources on Joan's website that you can explore.
Thank you.
Bless you, dear. Thank you so much for being here today. It's been
Thank
such a
you.
pleasure to sit and hold space with you and to be with your cat and Elsa.
And Elsa, yes,
Absolutely. Bless you.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening and tuning in to us today.